We're gonna go through solving 3 different problems. They all have fractions in them. So the mantra, you see an equation with a fraction, multiply by the denominators. Then all the fractions go away. In this first example, I have a denominator that's 2 and another denominator that's x. So to multiply both sides by the denominators, I'm going to multiply both sides by both 2 and x. If you multiply this one together, this 2 is going to cancel this 2. So let me go ahead and cancel that. And what I have left is the 7 and the x. So I've got 7x equals, now the 2x over here, I'm gonna need to distribute that through. I'm gonna take it and multiply it to each one of these terms inside. Okay, so when I multiply 2x times 6 over x, this x is going to cancel that x, and so what's going to be left is the 6 and the 2, and 6 multiplied by 2 is 12. Then when I take 2x times negative 4, positive times negative is negative, and 4 times 2 times x is 8x. So I'm going to end up with negative 8x. Okay, now we're ready to move letters to one side, numbers to the other. So let's move the 8x to the other side. So let's go ahead and add over 8x. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So I'm going to add 8x. And then from there, I have 7x and 8x makes 15x equals, and then I'm going to have 12. To finish solving, let's divide both sides by 15. And so I end up with x equals, now this fraction can be simplified. 3 fits into both 12 and 15. So 3 fits into 12 4 times, and 3 fits into 15 5 times, and my answer is x equals 4/5. Okay, so let's do that again. Now this time I chose one where the denominators are the same. Here I multiply by both 2 and x. This denominator is x and this denominator is x. I don't need to multiply by both denominators. There's only an x. So I'm going to multiply both sides by just x, because the purpose is to cancel all those denominators. So when I multiply this one together, this x here is going to cancel this x. These ones, whoops, that one you can't really see very well. So let me try that again. Okay, so it's going to cancel this x and this x are going to cancel, leaving me with just 3 on the left-hand side. Let's bring down the equal sign. Then I'm going to need to distribute the x to both of these terms. So if you multiply x times 17 over x, the x's cancel and you're left with 17. And then if you multiply x times negative 5, you have negative 5x. Having a heck of a time. Okay, so then from there, letters on one side, numbers on the other. Let's move the 17 over. It's a positive 17, so I'm going to subtract it. 3 minus 17 is negative 14. Bring down my equal sign. On the right side, I have negative 5x. So finally, to get rid of multiply by negative 5, let's divide by negative 5. And then negative over negative is positive, and so it's 14 over 5. X equals 14 over 5. Okay, one last example here. In this one, the only fraction I have is here, and the denominator is w. So I'm going to multiply both sides by w. When I multiply the left-hand side by w, I'm going to need to distribute that w through. If you take w multiplied by 1, that's going to give you w. Then w times this fraction, the w cancels the w in the denominator, and I'm left with just plus 35. And then bring on my equal sign, and I still have 6w there now on the right. Letters on one side, numbers on the other. So let's subtract w from both sides. I have 35 equals, and 6w minus a w is 5w. Divide both sides by 5, and so I end up with w equals, and 35 divided by 5 is 7. At the very end, I'm just reminding you one more time that anytime your original equation has a variable in the denominator, checking your answer is not optional. And when you're checking, you're making sure that this answer does not lead you to dividing by 0. So if I substitute 7 back in the original, I have 35 divided by 7, I'm fine. But let's just pretend for a minute that we had w equals 0. If I plugged it back in the original, it'd be 35 divided by 0, which is an error. I'd have to throw that out and say no solution. So whatever you get, plug it back in the original to make sure that it doesn't lead you to divide by 0. And if it does, that answer gets thrown out.